Good morning. It's Thursday. Good to have you.
Friday Eve. I got to get you used to that.
That's a tough one for me to remember. But Friday Eve here on JR Morning. Chris Renwick, Lloyd Jackson, Jamie Edmonds. Lots to talk about today. We're jam-packed. And we start in Washington, D.C., where last night Donald Trump signed this Epstein bill.
Right.
So 30 days from yesterday is when we will be able to see what we expect to be a vast majority of these files.
Maybe.
How heavily redacted they are, how many names that they still need to be sensitive about, we'll see. But I think an interesting wrinkle here now is, there are now active investigations into this, into people that might be connected. And so one of the stipulations in this bill is that if there is evidence or information that is pertaining to a particular piece of an investigation, that is not subject to release. And that's something that the lawmakers signed off on.
Yeah, under this legislation, they can't release victims. They can't release images of child sexual abuse. They can't release classified information, and they can't release information that would jeopardize an active federal investigation. So that's a lot of qualifications there. So it may not satisfy people who think this is the be-all, end-all. But Maria Farmer is the very first person to bring charges against Jeffrey Epstein in 1996. She says in a statement, after being left in the dark for decades, having repeated calls for transparency ignored, living through nearly 5 administrations that turned a blind eye to this, she's happy. She says Congress finally listened to survivors. She's in.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Any transparency is good.
Get it all out. But, all out that they can get out, but sometimes, you just feel sometimes that, these investigations begin because they don't want things to come out.
Very potential. Absolutely. That could be the case.
Yeah.
But, the earlier this year, there was a whole cache of documents that were released, some 30,000 documents that were released. And that was just phase 1, as Pam Bondi put it. But then phase 2 never came. And so part of this is, what other pieces do we need to connect? What other puzzle pieces do we have? What other information? And again, it might be a whole lot of nothing. Because, Hakeem Jeffries yesterday pushed back on this notion that he collected donations from Jeffrey Epstein or invited him to a fundraiser, which we know is true. At least a staffer that was working on his behalf did 5 years after he was already convicted.
Right.
So this goes back to 2013. So I think we're going to get a lot of that, a lot of this, these connections to lawmakers and people wanting to woo him and curry him for his money and influence. And then we'll see what else we get in terms of who might be implicated, who might be involved, what were they doing, what did they know, and the idea that lawmakers are putting out there that we might not get the full picture is probably true.
I hope for the victims' case, though, some people are held accountable for what happened to them. So hopefully that's what happens.
Well, this is going to still be around. We got 30 days, right?
We got 30 days. So sometime within the next 30 days, we will have this.
So right around Christmas, we'll be talking about it.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Exactly. Communities around Pine Knob on high alert yesterday as sheriff's deputies assisted federal agents searching for 2 suspected gang members who fled on foot near the concert venue. The police presence, which included more than 30 officers and a helicopter, prompted nearby Clarkson community schools to go into lockdown as a precaution. Maintenance worker Greg Tracy arriving to set up the Magic Lights Festival. He said the scene was a little nerve-wracking for him, and officers were blocking the entrance. The lockdown at the schools was lifted at 11 a.m. Oakland County Sheriff's Office Public Information Officer Stephen Huber said the surge in law enforcement came at the request of federal agents tracking the suspects near an elementary school in Independence Township, and the individuals remain at large. So the visible police presence has, was all around that area yesterday, and hopefully we can get more information today because people there, I know they talked to one lady who lived around there, and she lives by herself. And she said usually she keeps a knife next to the bed. She said, but tonight was a 9mm knife because those guys were still at large. And she said, I don't know what's going on.
Doesn't necessarily feel safe.
No, she's got to protect herself.
That's scary.
So
these feel like you have to do that.
These were potential gang members.
Yes,
according to federal officials. And if you kind of rewind the clock here, going back to even into last year, I remember talking to Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard about these transnational gangs
That
that
were
were
robbing
rolling
the
through
houses.
Oakland County
Yes.
that were targeting these affluent neighborhoods, these big houses. And these were very sophisticated operations. You know, they had technology. They would stake out these houses to see what the
With the alarm.
what the daily schedule looked like for a
Yep.
lot of these people,
Mm-hmm.
and they would track the trends that okay, well they're out of the house every day by 7:30.
Yeah.
Kids are out of the house by 7,
Mhm.
and then they would go in, hit it up, safes, the whole deal. They would disarm the security systems.
Mhm.
So we don't know if it's connected to that, or if this is something different.
If it's ICE, maybe they're people who are here illegally, and they
Well,
just
these
happen to be
transnational gangs, according to Bouchard,
Yeah.
were also here illegally.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We're hoping to get some more information on that.
This idea of a UC investment getting 10% stake in Big Ten enterprises, the injection of cash into the Big Ten, it's been a topic of discussion this week because Michigan is saying, we'll just leave the Big Ten. We don't like this. Michigan State has a board member coming out today in Cranes and shortly on our show saying maybe the boards of these universities should take a look at this. Let's just not do it. Let's just talk about it first. And of course, this is all on hold. UC Investments said we'll put it on hold so more member schools can get on board. But this is very interesting.
So this is a big influx of cash
$2.4 billion.
that all 18 schools would be splitting. Now, the problem is you get into schools like Michigan, USC. I've even heard there were some rumblings down at Ohio State where they're like, we don't need the money. Like, we don't need this extra layer of oversight for a couple $100 million.
Right, exactly.
And so the justification here is that this influx of cash is to help with this new age of college football. This new age of college football where you need zillions and zillions of dollars to be able to compete with everybody else. I mean, the Big Ten's already
Specifically, media rights.
Media rights. And,
Yeah.
and this company, this investment company, would get 10% kickback of the media rights deal. So they're taking some of that money off the pot, but they're putting it in elsewhere. But then they have a controlling stake is what the fear is what kind of oversight are you going to provide? Because we already have a leader of the conference.
Yeah.
Tony Petitti is the head of the conference.
Right.
So what kind of influence do you have over, if Fubo is going to be offering the most money, then maybe we're just going to take the deal with Fubo. Meanwhile, you'll never be able to see another Big Ten game again.
Right.
Like, this is the concern, I think, for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And people at these universities are starting to get the idea that there needs to be more consideration here.
More money isn't always better, is what I'm gathering from some of these schools. They're like, hold on, let's talk about this. And so we are going to talk about with Mike Balow. He's on Michigan State's board at 8:35.
Michigan also gets a big win last night.
Big
Lopsided
basketball.
win.
Yeah.
It wasn't Kentucky, though. It
No.
was Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah, not the
But-
same.
Okay.
They did win 86-61. Michigan's 7th in the country right now. They're a good team.
Yeah, they're a good team. We got some good hoops.
Listen, man, we just got good sports going on.
Yes,
in-
we
in-
do.
in town.
Got some good stuff going on. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court looking over these tariff issues. And they sounded pretty skeptical if the president had this broad authority in their oral arguments that they heard a couple of weeks ago. What are the implications to the automotive industry, jobs report, all kinds of stuff on the economic front? We'll dip in with Patrick Anderson next on JR Morning.